great thing to see over the course of the 4 seasons.
One thing about this show that really sticks out, this is really the first time we get to see the family element of Lois and Clark, and that was such a big part of the series. And I love the fact that Jordan and Jonathan both got their heroic moment throughout the series, but also at the finale. If Jordan and Jonathan were to continue on, where would you guys like to have seen their story go?
I mean, especially with the Jonathan character, because we spent the entire series for the most part having him not have powers. It would have been fun to kind of delve more into how he would have handled his own situation and his own trajectory with the powers. But again, he sort of developed them in a very different way from Jordan, who was very like slow and steady wins the race, and Jonathan kind of got them all at once.
Yeah.
But
I feel like it would have been, especially since it was no longer a secret that they were who they were. I thought it'd been interesting to see them go off to school and handle going off to college with that kind of popularity. Would have been interesting to see.
You know, it's crazy because we know that the 4th season had budget cuts, it was shortened a little bit, but still such a fantastic series. And it's like I said, it stuck the landing, and it was so impressive to watch. Was there any, and it tied up all of the characters, it gave them like a great send-off. Was there anything that was left on the table that you would have liked to have seen in the finale, or was it perfect for you guys?
no, I've said this publicly too. I wish, Dylan Walsh is such a tremendous actor, the guy who played my dad, General Sam Lane, and at the very end, I missed his presence being there, even if it was a hologram or something. That's the one thing I would have had changed. Otherwise, I thought the finale episode was beautifully written, and like you said, it really stuck the landing.
Absolutely. Tyler, for you, going back to the very beginning of the series, can you talk about putting on that Superman suit, how it evolved throughout time, and which iteration of the suit was your favorite to wear?
I don't know if I have like a standout favorite. I enjoyed the fact that we tried something new every year. But I will say, I think just for the sheer like nostalgia of it, putting on the Fleischer suit was probably like the one that was like really cool. It's the only one that had trunks. And I just thought it was like, I don't know, there was like something very, especially in the pilot, the scenes that we shot with that and the flashbacks and episode 11, there was like a lot of joy to that suit, I think.
Bitsie, I loved your version of Lois. I felt this was a badass, heroic Lois in her own right. And she was just as important as Clark or Superman was on the show. Can you talk about what it meant to portray this strong and fearless Lois?
We often get asked, were we intimidated going into it? And I think Tyler and I both really trusted that we were cast for a reason. And I think that I share quite a lot in common with Lois Lane as far as feistiness and doggedness and determination and, especially the feistiness. But I've had a bunch of people, we were signing before we came out here, and they were saying, people who've been like, I've at the last con we were at in Portland saying I'm a journalism major right now because of Lois Lane, and that it's inspiring to have seen a character who's so early in the grand scheme of things as far as portrayals in the comic books in 1938, having a woman who was a career woman and a working woman and who wasn't going to give up on her career just because of a man. And so those qualities I think were great to bring into it. And of course, I'll be forever grateful that I got to play a Lois Lane that was a mom, because once you're a mom and you have kids or a dad, like the stakes get impossibly huge. And so I had really high stakes to play with emotionally as a mom. I mean, I myself have an almost 6-year-old, and so being able to play a Lois who, not only had her own career and her marriage and stuff, but also had to be a mama bear to these 2 boys who are often very naughty and or bratty, was great, and I'm grateful for that.
It's funny you said that, because I work at Screen Rant as an entertainment journalist, and the main reason is because I love Superman, I love Clark Kent, and that's what made me pursue that. Now, Tyler, for you, I have another question about, you got to portray Bizarro, which was fantastic. I love seeing Bizarro in the show. Can you talk about playing Bizarro and the nuances you brought to that character?
It was a lot of fun. Definitely, like with TV, sometimes the thing is you kind of feel like you have to do the same thing over and over again. So second season, being able to play Clark and Superman, but then on the same day, in the same scene, Bizarro, you get to approach it in two very, very different ways, which is really fun. There weren't a lot of rules with Bizarro. The little head twitches, originally they're like, I don't know, maybe we don't do that, but I wanted to do it because when I was a kid, my parents actually thought that I may have had Tourette's for a while when I was a kid. I had some really bad twitches for like 2 or 3 years, and so they thought maybe that was a thing. And then eventually I just kind of grew out of them. But my little nephew started doing them right before we started shooting season 2. He started these little twitches and tics. And so I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna put that in there. And so I did that in Teen Wolf as well. I put in some little things from when I was a kid. I was like, I'm gonna take these things that were a couple of years of really worrisome and weird feelings for me and put it into these characters and let them live for a little bit. So that was a fun thing, and eventually that became a big signature thing of the character, which was really cool. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed not having to play by the rules with that character as much as with Clark and with Superman.
Bitsie, one of the things that really stands out on this show too is the relationship with Clark and Lois, because it's not perfect. And it's a work in progress, just like any real relationship really is. Can you talk about how their relationship and their dynamic has kind of evolved throughout the show, but also just Clark and Lois' relationship just throughout the years and that dynamic?
Well, I think one of the things that we did differently was that Lois was in love with Clark.
Yeah.
She was in love with Superman. And so she kind of really knew him, and I know that was different. And I would say, especially in the flashback episodes, you kind of see her, getting a little giddy around him. And then obviously through the course of the show, when we start the show, we've established that they've been married for a while, and they have, I guess, how old were the twins in the beginning? 15? 14?
Sure.
I don't, yeah. So, we've been married for a while, and, we're both just doing our best. And I think, when Todd Helbing first sat us down to dinner and was talking about the show, the word they kept saying was, it's going to be grounded, it's going to feel real. And it just, relationships aren't perfect, and they take work, and there's no such thing as perfect parenting. All we're doing is our very best, and we make mistakes like I do. And so I think that made the whole thing more relatable, and it ended up being, especially season 4, because we had such big budget cuts and cast cuts, really ended up being more of a family drama than a superhero series in many respects.
That's why I found the show so relatable. This was the version of Clark and Lois that I can see myself in a way.
And then also the cancer storyline, I think, that really humanized him, because he couldn't do anything to save her. Just our hands are tied in so many ways when someone that we love gets a cancer diagnosis, and obviously there's great immunotherapies and other options now, but it's still incredibly scary. And I think that storyline in particular, Tyler and I were initially worried about, because we thought this might be polarizing, it's too heavy, the subject matter is too heavy, and I can't tell you how many people have come up to me, probably already in this room, who've said, my mom went through it, or my spouse, or I'm going through it, and people really ended up loving that storyline.
Absolutely. Now, let's switch gears for a second. We're going to play a little game. It's called Stars in the Know. You'll be asked a trivia question about your co-star, and you'll write the answer on the whiteboard, and then we'll reveal it to the audience. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start it up. All right, so this one is a question about Tyler, Bitsie, and hopefully you know the answer. So, before acting, Tyler was on track for a career in which sport? Let's reveal the answer to the crowd. Baseball is the correct answer. 1 point for Bitsie, good job.
Badminton, it was badminton, it wasn't baseball, it was badminton.
All right, next up, this one is for you, Tyler. Bitsie is known for playing which character in the fantasy crime series Grimm? You want to phone a friend to the crowd out here?
I just heard her say it.
Well, when I stepped onto the airplane yesterday, the flight attendant yelled it.
I know.
Before as I was approaching the airplane, she screamed out the name of this character.
Give me the first letter.
J.
That's even worse than that.
He doesn't know.
Dang it! No,
So-
there's two. There's
So
two.
just
Yeah,
for
there's
keeping
two.
There's
score,
two.
There is
there
two.
are, that is kind of a trick question. There's two.
Yeah.
There's two.
We'll take either answer.
There's
if you
one
know.
main one, and then there's another
What's
one.
the other letter of the
E.
other one?
E?
Yeah, right, okay, that's why I keep hearing that.
But you still don't know it.
I know.
So Tulloch 1, Hoechlin 0.
Well, are we going to chalk that up? You just jot a name down?
No.
It's not L. What was it? Legally Blonde? No.
You'd be good in that.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. All right, we're going to...
Juliet and Eve.
Juliet and Eve, yep.
Not L.
All right, this one's for you, Bitsie, and you are in the lead here. Tyler first gained his role as Michael Sullivan Jr. in which 2002 crime drama starring Tom Hanks?
It's a feature, right?
It is.
I hope she misses it. It's gonna feel really bad. Oh, dang it.
That is correct. Road to Perdition. All right, Tyler. I feel like the pressure's on you now.
I pass.
Bitsie appeared in The Artist, the Oscar-winning silent film. What year was that film released?
Oh, what? Is this serious?
I know.
That's ridiculous. I don't.
It swept the Academy Award.
I know. I watched it. I was a fan.
Let's see.
2009.
Oh, you're 2 years off, my friend. 2011 would be the correct answer. I'm gonna.
Not that I'm keeping score, but it's Tulloch 2, Hoechlin 0.
That's facts. Well, Tyler, we'll give you another one.
I don't want. No. Keep it going to her. That's fine.
Okay. Tyler portrayed a baseball player in which Richard Linklater film set in the 1980s?
And what month was it released? You know another.
Does anybody out here know? Oh, somebody knows out here.
I
Okay.
know he had a big mustache. And that's when you met Glenn Powell.
You met Glenn Powell on that. That's.
And I forget, I don't know the name.
Oh, the name is Everybody Wants Some.
Right.
All right. Bitsie has a degree
Back in
from
it.
which Ivy League university?
The worst one.
Oh. Harvard is correct. Tyler is on the board. You know what? That's it though. That's all we got.
That's it.
What were my majors? I double majored at Harvard. What were my majors? This can be a chance for him to redeem himself.
Was it not English literature?
That was one.
That was one. English literature and I know it wasn't arts. English lit and I don't know, your grammar. I feel like that's all in the same thing.
A grammar major.
I know that. I'm saying yes, you're a grammar snob. English lit and no.
He's already kind of wrong. So my double major were English American Literature and Language and Visual and Environmental Studies, but that was the fine arts.
Like I said, the worst of all the Ivy Leagues. Whatever.
All right, we do have some fan questions that were pre-submitted. This one's from Jordan P. In Orlando, Florida. Jordan's out here. Big shout out to you.
That was smooth.
That's such a Clark Kent move. I love it. What's the most fun and challenging part about playing such an iconic couple like Superman and Lois?
Working with Bitsie Tulloch.
Great answer.
What's the most challenging?
Challenging and challenging part about playing.
I don't feel like it was challenging. I thought it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly enjoyed all of it. I think the challenging thing would be if you spent a lot of time worrying about what people were going to think of it, which we just didn't, and in the way that was just most, I think, of the best service to the characters, because to go in and try to please everybody is it's a disservice to playing the characters truthfully how you see them, I think, and I think we felt good about how we saw them and their relationship and the dynamic. So yeah, ended up just being a lot
and
of
the
fun.
showrunners were on board with, like we already mentioned, them really being, you know, having the foundation for their relationship is a rock, and it's very strong and solid. And no, they don't always get along, but they're very much obviously in love with each other, and you know, they're not like codependent. They each have their own thing going on. But yeah, so I wouldn't say that was challenging at all.
What was the most fun part?
But maybe that's a good thing, because I think maybe that is the challenge. Maybe to keep that interesting, because a lot of times people feel like they have to have just constant conflict
Sure.
to make a relationship interesting, and I vehemently disagree with that. I think to see them in a healthy marriage was actually a really great dynamic for the show. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. What was the most fun part?
The most fun part? Oh God.
We like
together.
working together a lot. That's
Yeah.
and I mean, and playing pranks on each other. But we, as actors, we both really loved the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Anytime we got flashbacks, you know, Daily Planet, Younger, Falling in Love, especially season 1, episode 11. What was it called again? A Brief Series of Unfortunate Events or something.
I
like
think
that?
so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this next question is from Sophia M. from Miami, Florida. Bitsie, Lois Lane is known for her determination and sharp wit. Is there any particular scene where you really felt like you captured her spirit? I felt like you captured her spirit the whole time.
Yeah, I would say kind of the whole time. I would say, you know, somebody just tagged me on some social media, and it must have been season 1, episode 2, when she quits the Daily Planet and marches into Morgan Edge's office. And you see there's this really cool moment where the elevator doors open and they just reveal her in the green jacket, and she just starts marching down, and then she, you know, slaps the envelope down, and he's like, "What's that?" And I go, "Those are the best words I've written and since you took over." And then you open it up and it just says, "I quit." That was very Lois-y.
Yeah, absolutely. This next one's from Emma J. from Fort Lauderdale. If Clark and Lois swap jobs for a day, Lois taking on superhero duties and Clark running the Daily Planet, how do you think they'd do?
I think she'd have done even better. I'm just kidding. I don't know, but I always say, you know, I get asked a lot, is there a storyline you wish you'd done that you didn't get to do? And I know there's a comic where Lois gets superpowers, and an episode, I would have liked to strap on the suit.
I would have loved that more than anybody. I would have been at work every day I wasn't working just to watch. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I never once, even, you know, starting in 2018 in the Elseworlds crossover, I never was dingle dangling from the ceiling. What's it called again?
Wired?
The wires. I was never wired. I think they just didn't trust me not to, like, in my head, if they were gonna put me on wires, I'd like get in a knot, and then I'd be that person like unfurling really fast and then going this way. Like just,
Oh, like the poor, do you guys see that poor woman that got medevaced out of, helivaced out of the place? Did you see this?
No.
This woman got, a helicopter came in to take her out of this like hiking trail.
Oh, I did
and
see
just
that. Oh my
spinning
God.
nonstop.
I did see that.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, it's an awful.
Yes. I think she got a lot of money in the settlement, so good for her.
I mean,
that was
like
outrageous.
that, watching that video made me car sick. Like I wanted to vomit. Yeah, that poor woman.
I also would have vomited. That's rough. Marcus B. from Jacksonville, Florida asks, you film a lot of intense scenes. What were something funny or unexpected that happened on set?
My favorite one, I think I was crying laughing harder at this than anything else. We were doing it at the end of season 1, and Wole, who plays Steele, shows up, and it was just like this reuniting moment with the Kent family, and then he shows up.
Like exterior Kent farm.
Exterior Kent farm, and so Wole, when there's like the full suit, always had like a stunt double because the suit's bigger than he is, and his stunt double is a little taller, so he does that. But when the helmet comes off, it's always Wole. And so we have the thing where he lands, he's not been in the suit a lot, and so he's kind of like getting used to moving around in it. It's a lot of like big pieces. And so he comes in and he lands, and he does the whole thing where he's like,
You also have to do the sound effect of him walking up to his mark.
So he does the thing, that's the leaving. That's the leaving. I know, okay. Anyway, We've been married for a long time, it's fine. So he does a thing where he kind of like jumps and lands and does the whole like, I'm glad I could help you out, Superman. All right, cool, take it easy. And then we're all supposed to freeze so they can bring the helmet in and then he can leave. So they go freeze, so none of us move. Somebody walks in, puts the helmet on his head, but it's a little bit wonky going on. So we're all now not supposed to move, but watching somebody like struggle to get this thing over his ears. And he's like, wait, so how do I head up? No, head down? Okay, head down. Head further down? No, okay, head back up, head back up. And we're all supposed to not break or do anything and just be completely frozen. So it's already ridiculous. So then they finally get the helmet on, that person leaves, and they go, okay, and action. And we act like nothing's happened. A lot has happened. And so we sit there and he goes, see you guys next time. And then he goes to jump, and they go, now, freeze again. Wole is now sitting there, we're like, no, not you, Wole. Wole, you leave. Okay. So then he's like, now he's got this huge mask on with like a snout, and he's like, over here? Over this way? Which way do I go? And then we're like, that way, that way. So he goes, okay. This thing is so clunky, he's now walking and it's doing like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. It's like, all the way offset. We are still supposed to be frozen. This is called acting, and this is what we have to deal with.
Wait, he left out two of the funniest things. So when he first gets to his mark, he's got the big hammer and the whole thing. I mean, this was for his first time in the suit, and let me tell you, it never got less funny. It was squeaky and hilarious every time he was in the suit. But so he puts the hammer down and he's got this big serious moment, and then every time it would just go, boop, and just fall over. So that was like, oh God, no, we're not gonna get through it. And then there was the other thing with the visor on the helmet, where the visor was supposed to be up, and he'd start his line, and then the visor would fall, and he'd be like, I'm gonna take that again. Start the line, and the visor would fall. So the whole thing was just, it was funny. And then actually in season 4, episode 3, which was a really emotional episode, obviously, especially for me. So and everybody knows, like, I cannot handle Wole's suit. It is just so funny. And I'm gonna get the giggles, and it's really hard for me to stop once I get the giggles. So they brought him in last. So it's this incredibly emotional scene, and somebody was filming me, and I was like, you know, just dying laughing because of the squeaking. Every time it's like, yeah.
Speaking of comfortability in superhero suits, what is more uncomfortable, Tyler, your Superman suit or that dress you wore in the finale?
Oh, hate that dress. I mean, that dress I was not a fan of. And in the wardrobe fitting, because they wanted a red dress. We knew the title of the episode for, I want to say season 3 was The Red Dress. So I tried on some sick, gorgeous red dresses. One of them had a slit up to here, and I put this sequin one on, and I'm like, hell no. No, 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 no. It was already, the sequins were cutting into my skin like little baby paper cuts, right? So what I usually do in fittings if I don't like something, I won't, just don't take a picture of it, because that ends up being what they will choose. If you don't like one, like they have a sixth sense and they're like, let's put her in this really itchy alpaca sweater that's gonna be like this the whole time. So I'm like, no to the dress. And Katrina, our wardrobe designer, was like, they really liked the sequence, so I'm just gonna take a picture of it, but I'm gonna make sure that, you know, I think I also, when I really don't like something, this is how I pose. Because I don't sell it. So then the other dresses, I'm like this, you know, thinking that'll work. Nope. I show up on set, it's the sequin dress, they had lined it, and it was still cutting into me. So then when it came back for the finale, some people were like, oh, you looked amazing in that dress, surely you kept it. I'm like, I wanted to burn it. Yeah. Yeah.
It did look fantastic, though.
Thank you. I know, especially at the very end, that last image was powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Bitsie, Lois, oh, this is from Rachel T. from Fort Lauderdale. Tallahassee. Lois is an investigative powerhouse. If you could pick any real-life mystery for her to solve, what would it be?
I mean, there's so many unsolved mysteries. There's a whole TV show about them. I'm gonna answer it with a serious thing, because it's the first one that popped into my head, but would be to fully solve the murder of that journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
Oh yeah, great answer. Great answer. This one is from Ethan S. from Pensacola. If Superman and Lois had to go undercover for a mission, what disguise do you think they'd wear? I guess that would really depend on the mission, though, right?
I mean, can't he just put his glasses on?
Works for a long time. That's a good one.
For anyone who's seen Grimm, I had a bit of a character change between season 4 and season 5, and my character got to wear like really fun skin-tight leather suits for 5 and 6, and really fun wigs. So I would say like a little bit of a Femme Nikita moment.
Oh.
Yeah. Little Alias, Jennifer Garner, she got to dress up. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. One of the Three Stooges.
I love it. I love it. This next question is from Natalie from Naples, Florida. She asks, who was more likely to break character and start laughing during dramatic scenes?
Do we have to answer it?
This one's from Owen from Charlotte, North Carolina. Superman has his fair share of villains. If you could create a brand new villain, a totally original villain for the show, what would its powers be?
Ooh. Manipulation?
I like it.
Yeah.
Ew.
Propaganda?
Fair answer. Fair answer.
Brainwashing.
Bitsie, this next question is for you. This one is from James from Orlando, Florida. He asks, if Lois Lane were to get a spin-off show, what would be the theme of the show, the genre of the show, and what would it be about?
If she had a spin-off, I think obviously she would still need to be, you know, let's just like call her an undercover journalist, sort of doing more like maybe some fun CIA stuff. He could be in it.
I'll check my schedule.
What was the other question?
What would it be about? What genre would it be?
Yeah, so I would say a you know, suspenseful thriller, drama, 1 hour drama. Yeah.
All right.
Maybe a little more goofiness, because I always had fun when she got to be goofy, which I felt like our show was pretty serious overall, so we loved the goofy scenes whenever we did get them. Yeah.
This one is for both of you from Kevin F. from Austin, Texas. Even though their show took place on another Earth, did they have any Arrowverse regrets, like a crossover they wished would have happened?
What was the last part of that question?
Like a crossover we wish. I mean, I don't know about the crossovers necessarily, but we've both said it would have been nice for Melissa Benoist to...
Would have loved to have had Melissa there.
Grant
would have been great. We did get Tom Cavanaugh to come back, which was great as a different character, obviously, but that was obviously really fun. I always had a great time on the crossovers. The Crisis was such a really fun experience. I mean, have that many people on set at the same time was crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it was complicated for us too because we started filming really at the height of COVID in the fall of 2020, and so there was a brief discussion about us having a crossover with Batwoman, but the COVID protocols were different from show to show, and our show, maybe because it was newer, was pretty strict, and I think there was a lot of concern that, you know, one of the Superman and Lois cast might get COVID from a Batwoman, and so I think they did a crossover with somebody else, but you know, there's someone on the crew, the crew's kind of intermingling, but mainly the concern about the cast, and then, you know, at that point we were already on a different Earth anyway, so it just didn't make sense to do it.
Tyler, I know Grant Gustin is a huge Superman fan. What was his experience like when he first saw you in the suit?
I don't remember the first time he saw me in the suit. I think he was in his Flash suit.
It was in 2018 at Elseworlds was the moment that you and I love.
Well, yeah, that was
at the Kent Farm?
That was as Clark. That was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think the first time he saw. I think first time in the suit I want to say was when he was in the Flash suit. So like everybody was kind of doing the thing. But he's always been a huge Superman fan. It's always been really funny to kind of see him geek out when be on set with the character. Yeah.
Right, tell the story of filming Elseworlds. It's just cute, just in a nutshell.
So, sorry if you've heard this already, but we were doing an episode where basically they come to see Clark and Lois at the farm, like we need some help, And like, do you know anybody? I was like, I have somebody in mind. And they do this big push-in shot of me ripping the shirt, and there's the S underneath. And Grant was standing off to the side. And so the first time we did it, I said like, yeah, I think I have somebody in mind. And they do the push-in thing. I pulled the shirt open, and I just hear Grant go, and it's hilarious. And thank God the camera pushed into just the S, because I started dying laughing. Like, my face was already off camera. He's always.
And that was fun too,
because
because the buttons were like fake buttons.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
when he rips the shirt open, the buttons also went flying. Yeah.
That's incredible. Now, this one is from George C. from Orlando, Florida. Bitsie, you had some incredibly intense scenes, especially in the most recent season. What was the most challenging emotional moment for you to film?
I had a lot. I mean, I always joke that once they realize you can cry on screen, you're crying every episode after that. And so the first episode that was really emotional that they gave Lois was season 1, episode 8. I think it's called Holding the Wrench. And they had called and they said, we're gonna do a miscarriage storyline. And I have so many friends who struggled with fertility issues, and it's just been a long, hard roads for them and their partners to be able to be parents. And so I remember calling and I said, and I unfortunately, and it's heartbreaking, I have 2 friends who lost babies full term. And so originally it was just a miscarriage, and I called and I said, can we make sure that it's more of a late term miscarriage to really hammer in that tremendous loss. Not that an early miscarriage is any easier, but so we made sure that in the photographs when we're flashing back that she's visibly pregnant and stuff. So that was a crying episode, and I swear, like, from that, every episode on, it was at least, like, Lois tears up, or a single tear rolls down her cheek, or something. But I would say the most emotionally difficult, I actually almost vomited in my mouth. I was so in it, was season 4, episode 3. David, my husband, was directing it, and my father passes away before my eyes, and we started with my close-up first, and and Dylan sold it really well, the sort of neck snapping, and the first time I saw it, I almost vomited, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, because I was very much in character. Like, when I have emotional scenes, I go sit in a corner. I can't, it's just so hard to sustain over and over again, so you really gotta stay in it for a long time, so they're the most exhausting days to film. But I dropped to my knees after I see this, and then I crawl across this long parking lot to him. And you don't see how big the distance was in the episode, because the editors got in there and had to shorten a lot of stuff. But by the end of the night, once I had filmed all of my coverage and stuff, my knees were basically bleeding, because once I did it once, I had to do it every single time where I'm crawling across the parking lot to him. So I would say, and the Superman dying, obviously, that was a big moment when I roll him over, and but yeah, if I had to pick one, it would be season 4, episode 3.
Oh, incredible. Look, Bitsie, Tyler, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the 4 seasons that we got, because the show was incredible. And thank you so much for spending time with us here at MegaCon. You guys
Thanks for having us. This was a big fun one. Yeah.
Before you guys go, are you guys cool to throw shirts out to the crowd? Are you guys down with that? All right.
Yeah.
Before you guys go, so we'll get these shirts. Thank you guys, MegaCon, for showing up for Superman and Lois. Thank you guys.